another story that is probably part folklore, but my grandmother insists that she was at Mass that day. Um, in the Mexican culture, there's this saying you say if ever you meet something that's evil or think you're going to be hurt by something that's evil. And my grandmother says that if you do encounter something like that if you say two words, if you say Maria Purísima, that it will go away and you won't be harmed. Well, the Franciscan priests, who came over and supposedly brought religion, and for centuries, she said they didn't really believe in that kind of stuff, the superstitions, and they didn't really believe that because they were part of the church. And she said one day when she was a little girl, she said she remembers being about 7. If you're familiar with San Jose Mission, the front of the church, you come in down the aisle, pews on both sides, and then you see the altar. Well, to the left of the altar, there is a doorway, and if you go in that doorway, that is what is now a small little chapel. But she said at that point, that is where the priests actually would change into what they were going to wear for Mass, right? So she said that they were in Mass that day, and that there had been rumors, several people had said they'd seen strange things going on around the church, ghosts and feelings, of evil. She said that day they were in Mass, her and her mother, and that the priest began Mass, but that he kept on looking over toward that doorway where he used to change. And it became real apparent to everybody in the church that he was looking at something that was kind of bothering him, because he would say a few words, and because Latin was what they were still using at the time, and he'd look over and then he'd say a few more words, and he'd look over and say a few words. Well, people began to get a little bit suspicious of something going on and began to kind of worry about, well, what's he looking at? Well, she says that at some point during the Mass, he turned around and he saw something that prompted him to say, Maria Purísima. And because priests were not supposed to really believe in that kind of stuff anyway, that it alarmed the entire congregation. And they knew it had to be something serious. So they all got up and very quickly left the church that evening. Well, she said that she happened to be friends with one of the little altar boys in the area. She doesn't remember for sure who it was at that point she told the story. And he was acting as altar boy that night. That she told him, or she asked him, why did he say that? What did he see? What caused him, what prompted him to say that? And that the young man had told her, you're never going to believe this, but Father said that he saw a priest without a head. And the reason he knows it was a priest is because he was dressed as a priest, and that it scared him so much to see that he knew it had to be evil, and he decided he would say Maria Purísima, in other words, take care of me, shield me from this, whatever this bad thing is. And she sat there and told me at our dinner table one night that was a true story.
Wow.
And I never forgot it.
Wow. Do you remember the name of the priest?
I don't. She said it was. She didn't even remember. She said because she was a little girl and she just didn't remember. But she said at that point that is why she began to believe that there were perhaps some evil spirits around there. After all, a lot of Indians had been murdered there. A lot of Mexicans had been murdered there. So she felt like maybe some of those spirits were not at rest and they were still floating around, or I don't know. That was just her reasoning for it all. But I never forgot that story either, because she was so sincere, and she said it, and it was so believable to me. So anyway, I share that as a scary story when I was a Girl Scout. And then later on in life, when I'd spend the night at my friends' houses and stuff, and we'd have slumber parties, I'd share that story. And then now that I am, a teacher assistant, during Halloween, or if we're talking about things like that, I'll go ahead and tell them the story of the priest without a head.